shaving.
Can I ask you a question? Are you healthy?
Yeah, well, good. Very good. Thank you. I don't know about that. All right, thank you. Good talking to you.
Mark, when no one in particular, but when guys have performed at a high level and then they struggle with execution, what's as a coach, is that when you know they've already performed there, is that one of the hardest things to deal with?
Well, a lot of times when people have early success, they continue to work on their strengths harder than they work on their weaknesses. And whether, in any walk of life, that seems to be, it's hard within yourself to address weaknesses. And you may have somebody harping on you the whole time about it, but until you come to grips with that and understand that, then it doesn't change.
Has that been the hardest thing for you personally? It
happens every year. It happens every year. It's just may not be my position one year, maybe the wide receiver position one year, maybe the running back position. So it's not something that's new to coaching. It's why you get up at the wee hours in the morning and you stay to the late, early hours of the morning.
You have 5 different combinations in 5 weeks, and maybe it seems like it's going to be about 6 this week. I mean, how difficult is that for a group of guys and for coaching staff to try and figure out?
Yeah, we do mix things up, like I've always told you guys, in practice for these situations. But, when you're having your position meetings in the training room, it's not a good sign. So, we'll put out there who's healthy and work with those guys. And, the good thing about, being forced, it puts guys out there, and then it exposes them to real life reps and lets them know, okay, this is why we do the drill work. This is why Coach Staten's been up my keister about my backside leg, or about keeping my hands up in pass pro, or about this or that. And then now they see it, and they see how it can positively or negatively affect the entire play and the entire team.
And Jordan's the only guy who started at the same spot all 5 games so far this year. What have you seen from
Why? Seriously.
Well, what have you seen from him in his growth? I know he played 13 games last year, 1 start, but now he's obviously taken on a bigger role. What have you seen from him in a year
He's
plus?
an example in practice of how you need to play this game. Every practice rep is 100 miles an hour, working on the technique, and he may, because things change week to week with what you're going to see, so things may change assignment-wise or how you need to approach this guy compared to, so something may be amiss there, but he's doing everything at 100 miles an hour. So there are other guys amongst my room, amongst, everybody that needs to look at that and embrace that. And we've started to more and more and more. And that's something that he's done that has been just fun to watch.
Is that unusual for a sophomore to be to stand out in that way amongst the other guys?
Yeah, he's an unusual guy. I mean, we're fortunate when we got him, and you knew he was going to play a lot of football. We tried the center thing to see, if he could grasp all that, and he started kind of sliding a little bit in that regard, and so we put him back to where he'll be a mainstay for hopefully the next 2.5 years.
How difficult do the numbers right now make it to rotate guys? Do you kind of rethink that back and maybe anchor?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be able to be as generous in game-like situations now. Last game we had 2 guys played. Matt and Jordan played the full game, and then Blake played quite a few plays. And we're just going to need to keep pressing forward and letting those other guys know that, hey, our numbers are dwindling. You're next.
Where's this compared to 2012? Because that was a year where you guys suffered a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think talent-wise, I think we have a higher ceiling right now. No offense to those guys of 12, but it's just now it's a younger it's a younger group, and they don't understand exactly how far they need to go and how soon they need to get there. And when you have to play someone early, sometimes it's unfortunate because then they may think that they've arrived when they have just scratched the surface. And you've seen that on occasion with some of these guys. Hold on one second. Hey, Dan, you got to go to class?
No, I still got time.
Okay, I'll be done in 5 minutes. I'll see you in 5. Okay.
What does Luke Campbell need to do to get the consistency you need out of him? What's he working on to get there?
He's just working on day-to-day operation and conceptually understanding his place and why it's there.
when everything's healthy and in an ideal situation, how do you determine, like the first 2 weeks, I guess, as best circumstances were, how do you ideally want to determine the rotation? Because it can be series to series, and sometimes it's obvious, a penalty here, a pretty blatant error, but ideally, how do you want that to go?
I'd like the guys that are able to, because conceptually in practice, week to week, it's different. Whether it's a play or plays that you run, or whether it's how they're performing and how they're approaching it, because you will play the way you practice, plain and simple. You'll play the way you practice, and when you get to an older level, which we don't have any right now at my position, then you're able to maybe, hey, you know what you're doing, you get your hands in, you get your knees driving, you're good. But right now, we're just not at that spot, so we just got to keep pressing forward, and it's a decision as guys come back, and as we get a guy back this week, and then but we lose a guy, so it's one of those things where it's week to week.
With guys like our Curry and
I can't talk about that. I thought you were going to ask me about injuries.
Oh no.
Not as close as I'd like them to be, not as close as they'd like to be. And if you were asking them that same question, they would tell you the same thing. Because as we watch not only, our game from the previous Saturday or, their practice reps, they see the things that, can be very, very costly.
It's mostly you need a little more depth on the outside right now, it seems like.
But the nice thing is Tyler's done a good job out there. Cole's going to do a good job. Jordan can do a job. Luke can be serviceable. So we're not, it's the whole, it's not just the O-line. It's, the running back. It's the quarterback. It's the wide receiver. And we've got such tight ends. We've got such a good group of guys that they all understand that it takes 11 every play. Defensively, you can have 9 guys make a mistake, and the guy gets through and he sacks the quarterback or tackles the guy for loss. Offensively, one guy makes a mistake, doesn't block that guy, it's a negative play. Or one guy makes a mistake and doesn't run the right route depth, and that pass is incomplete, and everybody's mad at Lewerke, or something of that nature. So those are the things, that we know, that we see, that we understand within what we do. And a lot of times, college football fans, they just want that damn ball completed, or they just want, that guy blocked, or they just want, they don't. So do we.
What do you see from Penn State?
That 4th and 1 play in particular, I guess, what happened on that? How frustrating was it with having that many linemen in the game to see not be able to get a yard? Yeah, well, what happened with that is we didn't get the push that we needed, and because of Beetle being out, we had to make a change, and we didn't get the point of attack push on the kick. We didn't get the drive we needed, and it didn't work like it has in the past, and you look at those whole last 2 of the last 3 series, and there were so many. Each play you look at and you go, man, wish this part would have worked better here, or this part would have worked better there. So that's the thing that keeps you up at night. That's the reason why you get up and you go to work, and you're trying everything and working so hard to fix those things, because as anybody, or as majority of you guys been here for a lot of years, this is a different offense, but it's the same. It's the same guy who, record-breaking offense in 2014. Same guy that called us. We beat everybody in 13, everybody in Big Ten. Only team ever to do it by 10 points or more. You know what I mean? So that can be very frustrating. But thankfully, this team, and you've heard it before, and it's not just lip service. It's a very, very tight-knit group. From the head man down to our custodians who come in the evening. That's just the way this place feels. So we know that hey, we're going to put our foot in the dirt, and we're going to drive forward.
Can you talk about Penn State, please, and what you see on film?
Really good at the end positions. For those of you who have done any research on them, long guys, athletic guys, newer guys in the middle. But like I told, the offense, hey, they've had 5 games under their belt. you know, they're playing at home. I think the biggest thing, not just the 11 that'll be on the field defensively, but it's the 100,000 plus that are in those seats. I'm sure you've all been to a game there, and it can be, if you allow them to be, it can be a very, very loud place. So how we go about our work, how we finish, you know, once we get across that 25 and what we're able to do, you know, will dictate, you know, what we get. And they're very skilled. You know, they've got another defensive end that I heard is coming back this week, and you know, a highly sought after recruit, and you know, so that's going to make it a little more difficult. But you guys all have talked to me a lot of times. There's no excuses. Once Saturday comes 3:30, we go.
When
We got one more then.
Penn State had trouble stopping the run earlier in the year, but they solved that problem against Ohio State. What have they done to improve their defensive front against the run?
I don't know that they've improved anything. You know, they've got really good coaches on that staff, and they've got the guys, and I think positionally they were out of place a bit here and there early on. And, you know, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to stop what we do. We're trying to, you know, put something positionally to, you know, get after them. But, you know, we are who we are. They are who they are. You know, you miss one tackle, and all of a sudden you can't stop the run. You know, you swat at it and miss it, and now you can't stop the pass. You know, it's the same thing offensively. You know, you miss one block, and that was an awful play, whatever. How did that happen? Or, you know, what I was saying earlier about routes, you know, so it's I don't think anything's going different, Jim. I just think they're coming together. You know, when you're new and you're and it's a whole team thing, you start to learn each other. You know, it's like, I know your son plays hockey. Once you get used to that line, you know, that hockey line, you know where they're on the ice, and you know it's the same with offense or defensive football. Once you know, hey, that guy's got my back, I'm going to be here, he's going to be right here. If I cause him to come back, he's getting tackled here, or likewise, I push him this way, the running back's going to trust it, and he's going to come off my hind end.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.